1.1 is coming to experimental on the 1st of April, which means you can check out the update this week on experimental branch. Thankfully, before I head on holiday. Also, I should mention I am in a hotel working on this video from a 10-year-old laptop, so please do forgive any changes in the quality of the video. But I really wanted to share with you this information because there's some really cool stuff to talk about. But before that, let's just go over what's coming in 1.1 as well as the other little snippets such as blueprint snapping and what this could mean next week. Now, the big release of 1.1 is the photo mode. This is huge for content creators like myself, but also players who just want to show off their stunning worlds, whether that's using the dolly system to create tracked shots, filters that will make your photos pop, or even adjustments to the depth of field to convey cinematic effects. Photo mode is activated using P, as we know currently in game, and from there we have these three tabs available to play around with. The first one is camera mode, which allows you to decouple your camera from the Pioneer, and also allows you to set up dollies and play around with things like the aperture. We then have the image tab for color correction, whether you want to manually adjust the image with the various settings or even use dedicated filters for your shots. And with this you can also set up the strength to reach the desired style of each of these shots. We then have the Pioneer tab, which it presumably has the different Pioneer poses that we've seen previously, and we'll be able to take the photo from here. We then have the Hypertube junctions and branches. Now, we know that there are two types of junctions currently in game. There's the Y junction and the T junction that are coming in 1.1. Now, in the previous teaser we spotted that there was a piece of Hypertube branch on the opening shot. I thought this was a Hypertube booster, but it is the Hypertube branch that we saw based on the way that it looks. Now, branches only allow you to branch out from a single path rather than a junction, which allows you to split off in either direction regardless of where you entered the junction from. I'd still like some clarification though whether this branch is the T junction that they were talking about previously or something else entirely. But I guess we'll find out on the 1st. Next we have vertical splitters and mergers, and rather interestingly we also have priority mergers. These allow us to prioritize which belts are coming into the merger first and output is first. This could be really useful in some circumstances where you may want to prioritize an input line for, say, power production and only use the secondary lines entering the priority mergers if the prioritized line runs out, which would then allow you to use those resources in another factory elsewhere prior to that. We also have the belt throughput display, which I'm loving the design of, and I'm really looking forward to using these in game. Now, they do have a minute warm-up cycle, so do bear that in mind when you're setting them up. And knowing that the programmable splitter was planned originally to have some ratio functions built in, and that we now have a throughput display and priority mergers, it really wouldn't surprise me if in a later free update we have some ways to monitor our whole factory from a display, or even have basic logic gates implemented. But that's for another day and it's just me speculating, but that's kind of the path that I see them going down with this. We now have the curved build mode for belts and pipes, allowing beautiful corners, and of course the straight pipe function is on the way as well. Personal elevators work the same way you zoop foundations. Though we don't know how many build materials they require to be built, we can see that they require steel beams, modular frames, silica, and what I think are motors from this short clip. Bear in mind I'm looking at my phone while recording this, which suggests that they'll be accessible around tier 4 in the hub. We still don't have confirmation if we can power different floors via the elevator, but you can bet I'll be testing this out from the get-go. Trains are also receiving some love as well. We know that the signals can now be placed on the left-hand side of the track, should we wish, and that there's a new build mode specifically for them, but we're also receiving railway buffers to stop trains at the end of the lines. We've also seen a few more architectural pieces, such as the beams, cables, as well as a few more decorational pieces, such as fans, which I didn't see earlier, and vents. There's the garage doors, the small pillars that you can see here, and shelves. But this is where it gets a little spicy. We have a few sneak peeks, such as an auto connect build mode for blueprints. Now this allows us to add belts between blueprints, becoming a huge time saver. But this could also refer to things like the power lines, pipes, and even more interestingly, rail lines. But we are going to have to just wait and see for that. But just imagine how useful that would be. And we've obviously covered the next few things. So there's the crash site dismantling and deforest animations that we saw in the very first teaser. We also have a clear view of the new conveyor wall holes that we'll be able to manually place. And probably the biggest change for myself so far is the ability to copy and paste the placing of signs, so that when we're setting up lights, we're able to place them without having to then copy and paste the sign design, which is going to be a huge time saver for people who use signs like myself for lighting. Those who mentioned drone pathing has been changed, you were correct with that, and we also have a few bug fixes along the way. Another big ask for me in 1.1 was the ability to nudge vertically, and this has also been confirmed as to coming just before the announcement of 1.1, which is coming out on April the 1st with controller support, which I know a load of you guys will appreciate, and this is actually great as they'll be able to trial controller settings prior to console's release later this year. And honestly, I can't wait to check out the update, and you can bet I'll be working on some videos for you so that I can release some videos whilst I'm on holiday. But guys, let me know what you're most excited for with 1.1 in the comments below, and whether you think there is still more coming, whether they've kept a little bit more behind for us. But as always, special thanks does go to all of our incredible supporters on Patreon, notably our Lunas, Firefless, The Calamity, Ben, Star, and Seeker Kala, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Papa Snoozy. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.